Mark Algie with us from 3M. We're going to talk about lean process today, and I know it's a topic that a lot of you are writing in on the website about and talking about. So we brought in an expert. Mark, thanks for joining me today.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me.
Did you know you had the title expert?
I didn't, but I'll take it.
Make them put that on your business card.
I will. Thank you.
Mark Algie, expert 3M. That would be
perfect.
You know, that'd be kind of nice. So, lean process. It's the hottest topic. We all know that we need to do it. Some of us aren't really sure how to do it. And so what's 3M doing to help those of us that don't know what to do?
Well, we're doing a number of different things. For me, I've been involved in probably, a dozen or more projects around lean, and there's always, or Six Sigma or TOC, there's a lot of buzz around these areas. And, I think maybe it's even been a little over-dramatized a little bit. And I think people are confused on where to go and what do I do and how do I get started and so on and so forth. So I guess today for everybody, I'd like to try to simplify it a little bit, because when we did all these projects, there was always a couple of critical X's that always seemed to come out of every project. That if people did these things, would really change their business.
Well, that's great, because I know for me, I hear terms like Kaizen and the Toyota way, and I kind of don't know if I'm, am I ordering food? Am I studying a new way of doing business? So what are the best steps to start? Where should we begin?
Well, I always thought if I had, if I was a collision repairer and I had a board in front of me that had 100 different buttons that I could turn, okay, to affect my business, which ones would I try to turn today? And I guess to try to simplify it, I would say, you know what? There's 5. Let's try to boil this down to something manageable. Everybody's got, too much in front of them, and they're trying to run a business. They still got customers they got to satisfy, insurers they got to satisfy, but they want to change their business. So what are the 3 or 4 things or 5 that they could do? I would say, first off, I would try to do a better job of scheduling cars. It's really critical. Too much goes on in this industry of getting all the cars in on Monday and trying to get them all out on Friday. And it creates a lot of chaos in the business. More and more collision repairers are adopting what's called flat scheduling, basically trying to bring the same number of cars in every day. You know what you're capable of producing. You've been paying people for years. So if you know my shop is able to produce 100 hours a day, let's bring in 100 hours worth of cars a day and then schedule them as such. It's really important, because too often if we schedule in 150 hours in a day, are you setting yourself up for failure? Probably.
Right.
Okay, so then those delays start to snowball and snowball and snowball, and then we don't make our promise dates to not only our consumer, the car owner, but our insurance partners. So really one of the most important things that people need to look at and do differently is scheduling cars in a more systematic way. And insurers will allow you to do this. We found that we can still collapse cycle time by bringing cars in on Thursday and Friday, and it works just fine.
Right. The key is picking the right cars to bring in on Thursday and Friday.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Bucketing things into the mix of work. Right. You don't want train wrecks every day. And, we don't want small jobs every day. We want a nice mix of work that fits in. And again, there's scheduling software to allow you to understand that. It gives you a nice dashboard that you can look at in a real pictorial manner, red, yellow, green. The day's filled up, it's red. Don't put any more cars in that day. Put them into a day that's yellow or maybe still green, so on and so forth.
When I think of the shop, I think I probably still think of a lot of people in a traditional way. I have boxes for things. So I have like the front office to me as a box, body techs as a box, paint's a box, and details a box to me.
Yep.
So as a shop, should they be thinking about reinventing all the boxes, or is it better to start in the office, better to start in the paint and work forward? What's the best starting?
I think they all kind of connect together, and starting in the front office, that's where the keys to keys process starts. And again, if you can expedite things and get things scheduled correctly, I think you'll do yourself a better job of getting them through the working process. But really the next piece of the puzzle, the next kind of critical X, really has a bigger play in it, and that's blueprinting the job. They call it triaging, damage analysis. It's really critical that they understand what needs to be done. So when you get that car back into the shop or into the work in process area, it just flies right through. The goal should be for repairers to really have 0 supplements. Now that's a tall order and probably impossible to do, but with the industry average still being up in the 30-35% area, I think there's room for improvement there. So building teams to triage or blueprint that car so we understand everything that needs to be done on it, all the parts that need to be ordered, everything that basically is going to happen once that car gets into the work in process area allows that car to kind of fly through the shop. Too often we're in the work in process area and there's a problem. Basically look at it as an assembly line. I've got to reach up, hit the button, stop the assembly line. Now I've got to get that part off the assembly line, get something else in place and start it back up again. All those delays and everything really cost a lot of time and money and energy, and again, cause us to miss really on our promise dates.
Right. I'm going to change the way I schedule. I'm going to do a better job of that and making sure that I've not got a lot of stuff sitting idle on my floor.
Yep.
And I'm going to do a little bit of triaging and blueprinting and having a complete picture. What else can I do in the shop when I'm thinking about being lean?
Well, let's get back into the work in process area. I'd like you to see, what's been the buzzword around it's called 5S. And that's a little bit of organization. I mean, I see, technicians, kind of wandering and wasting a lot of time looking for different things. Getting the shop a little more organized is really critical. One of the things that I learned, 5S is just not an organizational piece, and it's not just a one-time event. It really is something you need to build into your culture and have everybody understand. Whether you want to do that through a carts program. I mean, most shops, good shops, have adopted parts carts, and all the parts for that job are on that cart. Why are all the materials all over the place? Why can't the body man materials be on a cart? I always think everything you need, clean and ready to use, should be accessible to that technician. Too often people think of 5S as everything I need to do the job. There are some things you may only use once a month. They shouldn't necessarily be in the work area. They should be someplace where you can find them when you need them. So from a 5S standpoint, we want to have everything you need for that job clean and ready to use right now. Would be my better definition of 5S.
Because I think sometimes as shops, when we see stuff covered in the media and in our trade shows, we see a lot of the larger operations and MSOs going through this, and some of our smaller shops wonder, I don't have those resources. But that's when 3M kind of steps in, is you offer some resources to them free of charge. What are some of the resources 3M has?
Well, one of the things we're doing, and one of the other critical, is standard operating procedures. Really, really critical. So when it gets in the work in process area, I always ask, like an owner, how many body men do you have? And they'll say 5. And I go, how many different processes do you think you have going into the paint department? And there's always this polite pause and this quiet, kindness, and you'll see them kind of think, and they'll go, probably 5, Mark. Is that causing you a lot of time and anxiety and so on? So standard work or standard operating procedures is a really critical piece. And that's an area where 3M and our paint partners play really, really big. Again, I don't know how much I can help them with the scheduling piece and triage. You can get some training in the marketplace to do that.
Right.
And again, 5S is pretty much standard. I mean, it isn't a 3M process. It's something that was taught by a Toyota, and it's pretty accessible. It's just, again, good organization. But standard operating procedures is really critical, because what it leads to is, consistent work in process. 5 body men producing dents in the same manner, producing bumper repair in the same manner. So when they go to the next area, there isn't compensating behaviors in the time and the energy and the money involved. So again, when it goes through the shop, everything's standardized. Really makes a world of difference.
And you've got all those standard operating procedures online right now?
Yes, very good. Thank you for asking. We have taken the time, because we really believe in standard operating procedures, to put them online. What we want to be able to do is we still want our field people to come into your shop and do some online training. But too often technicians have questions. Now we have an easy site to get to in which they can go on and they can click and look at the process in a short vignette kind of a scenario. 3 to 5, maybe 7-minute long videos. And at the end of it, there's a quick test. So we can validate, did you really learn something and understood what was in there? I really like them both as a pre and a post-training event. Before the local 3M rep comes in, we still believe in hands-on, face-to-face training and learning. But it's nice to have that as a pickup piece to sustain the gain. We want these technicians to stay on the process. Too often, training's done, and then 2 weeks later they're back to doing the old habits that they always had.
Right.
And now we don't have that consistency. So it allows for that auditing piece of the puzzle.
It seems like, in addition to an educational tool, it seems like it's a great tool for consensus building and buy-in. Because I know when I talk to a lot of shops, one of their biggest concerns is, I hear a lot of, Kristen, I can go to these meetings and the ideas sound great, but how do I come back and put it in process in a shop where my technicians have been with me 20 years, 15 years, and we've done it the same way? But it sounds like from these venues, I could take them and maybe play them with my shop personnel and talk about it. And if we kind of get a consensus around it, it's easier to implement the process that way.
Well, everybody's got to buy in, and really starts with the owner of the business. I mean, he's the one that he's the leader of the business. He's the one that can bring about change. I hate the word change. I want to talk about continuous improvement.
Right.
And that's what they have to look at as a mentality today. It's about continuous improvement, being better tomorrow than you were today. And how do we do that? And I think human beings don't necessarily like change. They'll fight it. But if I ask you to be better tomorrow, I want to be better tomorrow than I am today.
Right.
I may not want to change, and if you look at it in terms of continuous improvement, I think people will want to latch on to that because they'll have an opportunity to do a nicer job and probably make more money in the long run.
So you talked about these tools are available on the website.
That's correct.
So shops can just kind of surf into the website there. We've got a link for it on the website, so you can come to
all free of charge.
All free. Wow, it never happens. So, so they'll be able to surf into it there and get into lots of things there. You've got the SOPs, you've got some other educational videos and product interviews or product videos.
New
there.
products are on there. We've got the videos for SOPs. There's some items that we can find if you have a question on a product. There's a search engine on there to ask questions and get answers. You know, I've got a wheel mark problem. How do I solve that? So we can figure out what to do. So there's a lot of things on our website. And I would certainly ask people to take a few minutes and go out and spend a little time surfing it.
It is great. I'm kind of on it all the time. So I will tell you that it's a great place to be. And you mentioned something about the local 3M staff. So if shops have some questions after they surf, can they get in touch with their local 3M distributor and salesman about lean?
Absolutely. They can certainly come in and do the standard operating procedure training for you. We're a big training organization. We believe in training. We've always believed in training. And those shops that welcome us, we're happy to do it for them.
That's great. Well, thanks for joining us today on Collision Hub and sitting around and talking a little bit about lean. Don't forget, we're going to be here all week during NACE, and Mark's going to be here all week as well.
Yep.
So feel free to stop by the booth and talk a little bit about lean. Also, don't forget you can join us at SEMA also. And Mark, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it so much. It's such a topic everybody really wants to know more about.
Well, thank you for having me. Hopefully we simplified it a little bit.
Have a great show.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.